The topic is why good writing matters. And this is my basic thesis that I'm going to try and persuade you of today, which is that writing is useful, especially for product managers. And we should do more of it, and we should do it better. That's basically been the story of my last 7 years at Amazon. And I've recently discovered that I'm a bit of a nerd for it. I think the people on my team would probably say I'm a bit of a stickler for it. My wife, who's a lawyer, would probably say I'm not a stickler enough. So I want to share with you what I've learned and a little bit of how we do it at Amazon, which is maybe not the way everyone writes, but it's useful and interesting. So a little bit about me. I've been at Amazon 7 years, 20 days, according to the phone tool. I looked it up today, not that I'm counting. I never thought I'd be there more than 3. I'm surprised that I have made it at Amazon. I'm also surprised that I'm still interested in Amazon. There's a lot to be said about the company in terms of why I'm still there. And I think in the culture at Amazon, one of the things that's pervasive is everything's changing all the time. So I love change, I thrive on it. I think a lot of people in this room probably do as well, work in tech. So that's just a bit about that. These are the businesses I work on now: Amazon Fresh, Prime Now, and Whole Foods. I've been on the grocery business basically for the whole 7 years, since like way before it was cool. Back when we were just in Seattle, just in one abandoned Safeway warehouse, trying to persuade people that yes, like Amazon was going to sell lettuce. And it sounded ridiculous at the time, and it was, and now we're doing it, and so is everyone else. And it's really, really interesting to watch that arc. I also have another hobby. I write not just about tech, I also write about ramen. You can find me at ramensupply.com, and because my love and my passion and my joy. And so, yeah, give me favorite ramen spots. I'm free afterwards. Rather than trying to do a what do you do as a product manager exercise, I did a little brainstorm of my own as I was putting this deck together. There's a lot of things that we do as product managers, and they kind of run the gamut. There's the really visionary stuff, there's the really tactical stuff. There's the execution-oriented, get it done, get it out stuff. There's learn from your mistakes stuff, and all of it benefits from writing. There's very little that a product manager does that isn't well served by a good written doc. I think this is in opposition to usually slides. Slides are kind of the alternative when you're trying to communicate or document. And I'm going to try and make the case that basically Amazon has found a way to leverage writing for the common good. Amazon's got some peculiar ways. This is Jeff talking about writing. He talks about writing a lot. He did it in a shareholder letter a year and a half ago. We don't do PowerPoint or any other slide presentations at Amazon. Instead, we write narratively structured 6-page memos. We silently read one at the beginning of each meeting in a kind of study hall. So you're probably wondering why I'm presenting a slide deck to you today. And I actually very seriously thought about not. I thought about coming in here with a 6-pager. And the way I would have done that is I would have had you pick up a 6-pager at the entrance. And I would have stood up here at the beginning and I would have said, all right, let's take the next 20 minutes to read. And then I would have sat here and we would have all awkwardly read. You'd probably all reach into your pocket and pull out a red pen, which is terrifying for me as the presenter. And you're all going to start writing down questions and finding my typos and working through the document. And the first words I would probably utter after that are, all right, any overall comments? And then we'd start. It's a weird process. It's super weird, but it's effective. And there are a few reasons why. So today I'm going to try and talk you through why should I write? Why bother when you have slides available? What should I write? How do I write well? It's a lot to cover in half an hour, 45 minutes, or so. But let's start with why. So in terms of why, there are, I think, 4 major reasons why writing is an incredibly useful tool and I find useful at Amazon, particularly instead of PowerPoint. Writing, for me, is thinking. They're the same thing. And if you've ever had to sit down and try and articulate a narrative, put down on a piece of paper, either a long email or an essay, what you're all talking about, why you're doing it, it's very difficult to do without thinking deeply. I've made a lot of PowerPoint decks without thinking deeply. It's very easy for six bullet points up on a slide, you can hide a lot of details in between the bullet points on the slide. There are some great quotes on this. There's a guy named William Zissner who I love. He has a book on writing well, which I recommend everyone pick up if they are nerds for writing like I am. The quote is, "Clear thinking becomes clear writing. One can't exist without the other." You actually feel the cogs turning as you write. And my favorite experience is to look at something you've written and go, "This is complete gibberish, but now I know what I need to write." It's a process every writer goes through. There's also this great Bezos quote: "Full sentences are harder to write. They have verbs. Paragraphs have topic sentences. There is no way to write a 6-page narratively structured memo and not have clear thinking." So it's not just about the artifact, it's about the process you go through to present that artifact. And it takes a while. Sometimes there's weeks of meetings, all leading up to a 6-pager. But by the time you have the document and present it out, you already know the answer. What's in the paper is obvious. It's the process that got you there that's useful. Writing is substance over style. Slide decks, except for mine, are dazzling. There's polish to them. You get points for graphic design. You get points for standing and having presence in a room. And none of that should matter. This is not a sales pitch. You're trying to make a decision, right? So if you want to be grounded in the facts of the matter and what you know, as opposed to how you can sell it, writing is a really clean way to strip all that out. You can choose a font and the margins. And then you're sort of done. And at that point, it's just the words standing for themselves. Writing is also, in my opinion, I wrote it favors the audience. I think it's a blessing and a curse for the audience. So it's 6:30, 6:45 p.m. on a weekday. You all had a long day. Imagine coming in here and having to read a 6-page, 11-word narrative. It's work. It's hard work. And right now, you have the option of not listening. My presentation is still going to go on. You can check your email. You can zone in and out. You can daydream. You can think about what you're having for dinner afterwards. Now you're all thinking about what you're having for dinner afterwards. But you're on autopilot in your presentation. If you're reading a document, your brain is working and you have no other choice. You can abandon, then you're not going to get to the end of the document. You're not going to know what's there. So it does make the audience work, but it's also favorable to the audience. The reason it's favorable is not everyone thinks at the same speed or in the same order. You control the velocity of reading a document. You control the order you read it in. You can page forward, you can page backward. And I imagine that a lot of you have questions right now. You might want to raise your hand and answer, but I'm going to answer them. I would respond to you, oh, it's on the next slide. But if you're holding the whole argument in front of you, you can page back and forth, you can write down the question and cross it off once it's answered. And then at the end, you've got this trove of interesting questions that haven't been answered, and you can go through them sequentially and address them. So it's actually really, really good for discussion. And then writing stands on its own. So one thing about Amazon is if 1,000 years from now, archaeologists find one of our servers and manage to learn how to read doc files, they will have a very complete written history of Amazon. They will know, we're getting some good nods, this is good. Yeah, they'll know the good and the bad, they'll know all the bad decisions we made, they'll understand exactly why the fire happened. There's nothing that's not captured in document form that won't stand on its own to anyone who still remembers English 1,000 years from now. If this PowerPoint presentation ended up in someone's hands 1,000 years from now, there would be a lot missing. The presenter goes with the deck. And if the presenter doesn't have to go with the deck, then what you actually have is a document that you accidentally put a landscape on the screen. This is my, I used to work in creative services, I used to work in a division that basically did PowerPoint for a living. And the number one sin is put all the information on the slide. If anyone ever starts a slide with, this is a bit of an eye chart, but they meant to write a document. So that's a little bit on by the way. Moving to what to write. If you have any questions as we go through, feel free to ask. We'll take a good chunk of time for Q&A at the end. So what to write? And I think one of the scariest things about writing is knowing even what to write. Like what's the expectation when it goes in this document, so that you can start structuring your thoughts. And it's really helpful. I'm just going to put words in your mouth. It's useful to have this notion of a product canvas that you can kind of grab and say, this is the template. I'm going to vary it up. And for me, those things are building blocks of writing at Amazon. because there are norms that are unique to us that we've cultivated over 20 years, and they work, and people instantly get what you're doing. So one of the tricky things about telling you what to write is that what I write at work is not necessarily what you're going to write at work, but I think the things that we write are useful, and they might give you some ideas on how to develop your own memes, essentially. So this is a little bit of Bezos talking about that. It's extremely hard to write down the detailed requirements that make up a great memo. Nevertheless, I find that much of the time readers react to great memos very similarly. They know it when they see it, the standard is there, and it is real, even if it's not easily describable. Yeah, he's a bit of a stickler too. He has a high standard for documents, but one of the ways he's managed to scale that standard is to come up with standard document types that he end up writing. So here are three. This is the PRFAQ, tenants, and narratives. PRFAQ, does anyone know what this one stands for?
Press release.
Press release and FAQ, frequently asked questions. So we'll talk through each of these. We'll probably spend the most time on the PRFAQ. This is a very Amazon thing, but it's gotten famous enough that I think some other companies have adopted this practice. I think it's a very replicable format. So press release and frequently asked questions, typically used for big projects. This is not something you're going to do every Monday morning. It's something you want to do when you're starting a new initiative. It's a way to focus on the customer, and it's a way to make sure that you're building the thing that they care about, not the thing you care about. Very easy to mix that up. I don't know if you ever find yourself neck deep in a meeting, debating the finer points of requirements, and you realize that you're actually debating constraints of what you have to build with, or when you have to go to market, and not what any customer is ever going to care about. You could build the wrong thing entirely. Press releases are a way of anchoring yourself in what the customer cares about. And no, you're not writing the real press release that you're going to send out on the day you launch, but you also shouldn't hide the fact that it's going to be internal. One of the sins of writing press releases as an exercise is when you let yourself slip into internal speak, even though you know this is meant to be like an external speak kind of thing. It's a forcing function. You're supposed to use the press release as a way of reminding yourself that customers don't care about any of that shit. All they care about is what they see and what benefit they get today. And it's also helpful if you isolate the big idea. You've been thinking about your project for a long time. You know the nuance, you understand why things don't matter, and they do. But the customer doesn't care. The customer cares about the big picture. And to make your point, the FAQ behind it is there to help flesh out that. So what we're actually talking about doing is writing a press release that we're going to hang on to internally and look at, and we're going to debate it and say, is this the right product to build? Should we build something else? And we're going to talk through it step by step. There's actually standard components to the Amazon press release, and I've written one for you, which I hope you'll indulge me in reading along with.
Amazon delivers personalized breakfast with Prime cereal.
Prime cereal is our product. So the headline is punchy, it gets to the point, it doesn't embellish too much. The headline's probably the hardest thing to write in the whole thing. I wrote it last. Then we've got the byline here, which says
Brooklyn PR Newswire, October 31st, 2020.
So we're launching this out of Brooklyn because that's where customers like personalized cereal. And October 31st, 2020, now I have some idea of what time frame we're talking about. It's like a 1-year vision, 1.5-year vision. So now,
Breakfast will never be the same for Amazon customers. Today, the company announced the launch of Prime Cereal, a new service offering personalized breakfast cereal, free printed and delivered in an hour, exclusively for Prime members.
So we now know a little more detail about this product. We know a little bit about how we're doing it, but only enough that the customer kind of understands it. We know that it's exclusively for Prime members. I promise you, as the owner of a membership and benefits product for Amazon Fresh and Prime Now, that was hotly debated internally, and we decided that we wanted to make this a Prime benefit. We were talking a little bit about benefits. So it's personalized and it's delivered for now. So now we get to the problem and the solution.
Cereal lovers have been eating the same basic options since 1950. A typical grocery store has just 40 choices with boring shapes, over or under frosted flakes, and never enough marshmallows.
And the solution?
The solution with Prime Cereal, every Prime member can eat a new cereal every day. personalized for their crunch profile and taste bud density with as many marshmallows as they want.
So, what's interesting about this is we've started to get specific on what we're trying to solve and what we're going to be solving. And we might all agree that Prime Cereal is, and I hope we do agree that it is a valuable program. It's going to be a flagship Prime benefit one day. But we don't know exactly what we're building yet. So this is where we want to start getting specific. And so you might imagine a room full of 20 people all sitting in this press release and debating whether taste bud density is really the right thing to be optimizing for, or whether we want to go all in on crunch profile. Or maybe we forgot about like sucrose content. So there are details in here that seem trivial, but when you take it out of that room and you broadcast it to all the developers and all the product managers and all the marketing people who are working on this, it scales. And so small words can have a really resounding impact. But we're not done. Let's hear from the business leader.
At Amazon, we obsess over our customers, and our customers obsess over cereal, said Michael Huffaker, director of Amazon Fresh and Prime Now. We are excited to help them rediscover the most important news of the day.
So fun fact about this quote is that it's a real quote. Michael Huffaker is actually the director of Amazon Fresh and Prime Now, and I actually emailed him today to get a quote on this press release. I may have helped him with this quote, this is what he sent back. So that one of the practices at Amazon, which I think is a really interesting one, is that the press release is fake, the quote is real. And it's a little way of validating your idea as you go through the process, and getting a little bit of a sense of what leadership cares about, and making sure that you're aligned with them as you take the project forward. So I wanted to keep it authentic for you. He made me add Prime Now. I just had Amazon Fresh before, and maybe thought his whole title.
Prime members can order custom cereal delivered in 1 hour with Amazon's Prime Now delivery service. Or they can buy their own 3D printer and download new cereals for the edition. The printer will automatically reorder ingredients like corn cereal and frosting slurry, so customers can wake up worry-free.
We're getting more into the details now of the product. We have more to debate about the nuance of what we're building.
I used to get the same boring cereal as my sister, said Penny, at age 6. Now I download and print cereal and shaking my face. She can't have it.
I made this mistake last night. I'm sorry. And then
Prime members can try Prime cereal today at Amazon.com/thisismakeup.
So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you bearing with me as we go through this ridiculous exercise. Sorry, this is not the solution, this is a call to action, that's a typo. The point of writing this all out is to have something material to debate, but it all fits on one page, and it's only what the customer sees when it's all done. So if we actually took this press release and sent it to PR Newswire, they would probably check to see if it's real. They might have some questions, but they would definitely print it because it's framed in terms of what the customer cares about. What it's not is a tech spec for how the 3D printing of cereal can work, or an opus on why we think that flakes are going to do better than crisps. So there's a lot of detail that has to go behind this, but this is not it. But then the FAQ comes, and there's 2 parts to the FAQ. There's customer FAQs. This is like what we would put on the website. This is, you literally imagine the FAQ section the customers might want answers to. And then there's the internal FAQs, which is where you get into the business aspects of it, the key trade-off decisions. FAQs are a really powerful way of framing the document because they're super clear. You know exactly what you're talking about at every phase. Question, answer, question, answer. And oftentimes if you find yourself writing a long block of text in any context, and you think it's a little bit hard to parse, just try and look for the questions you're answering and make them explicit, and it actually reads a lot cleaner. We tend to have some common questions that we use again and again, as well as bespoke ones for each project. Some of my favorites are, what are the hotly debated topics? Just call them out like you see them. Don't try and pretend like everyone's aligned. Show both sides of the argument and make everyone talk about it. And is this a one-way door? This is a big Bezos thing that I think is worth embracing, which is differentiating between two-way door decisions and one-way door decisions. and being much more willing to make mistakes on two-way doors because you can just go back the next day, but being very, very cautious about one doors. Tenants. So tenants are the shortest thing you can write. They're usually a sentence, sometimes two, and they're also unbelievably hard to write. So tenants are basically short rules that guide future decisions. When we work in tech, we have to imagine that we're going to be operating at scale at some point. And so the question is, it's just you alone in that room today, but tomorrow it could be that building over there with hundreds of people doing your bidding. And how do you make sure that the principles and beliefs and operating guidelines that you have scale and how everyone knows how to act? And sometimes in ambiguous circumstances, tenants are a way to do that. They usually take a stance on something controversial. So tenants should not be stating the obvious. They should be calling out something that you could go either way on, and sometimes things that lots of people will continue to disagree with, even as they're convinced of doing them a certain way. If they're well written, they should be memorable. I can remember some of the tenants on my team just by when I wrote them because they're kind of catchy. I wrote some of them. They're well written, and then they're debated, and then they're usually rewritten, and then they're used. Using them is the hardest part because getting them top of mind and in front of people is actually an exercise all unto itself. And then they're rewritten because they're almost never right forever. The idea of tenants is they're supposed to be durable but not sacred, which is why, as we look at our tenants for breakfast cereal, we always add, unless you know better ones, to the title. So these are our prime cereal tenants, unless you know better ones. These will be the guiding principles by which we will operate the business until someone tells us we're wrong. And we might be wrong today, so let's talk about it. Speed matters in cereal. We are only useful to customers if we can promise delivery by breakfast tomorrow. So just by reading that, what do you know about our business? And you have a choice between delivering a low-quality product now or delivering a high-quality product later. You look at this tenant, and it says, we're only useful if we can deliver by breakfast tomorrow, and you say, well, this is going to come by lunch. So what decision would you make?
Speed.
Breaks my heart. Because you also know that quality is rewarded at Amazon. This is not the only tenant out there. And so what I would very much want is for you to say, this tenant doesn't seem right. And flag it and act on your own opinions. Maybe, by the way, maybe you are making the right choice. But that's an opportunity to debate this one. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe there should be a separate tenant about quality. We empower customers to control every detail of their cereal, but we also earn customers' trust to make data-driven recommendations on their behalf. So now we've got this product decision that we can make, which would be full automation. We're just going to do it for you. Give you the controls, let you do it yourself. And we've said we're doing both. Prime cereal is not just for cereal enthusiasts. People who eat scrambled eggs for breakfast just haven't found the right cereal. I'm going to go to my copywriter and ask you, what would you do based on this tenant with your marketing strategy? So what I would do is I would assume that part of the strategy here is to be more people in the cereal category. And I would start marketing to all Amazon customers, all Prime members. I would not try and go deep on just people who bought cereal before. And basically define it in the principal market. And the fact that you said you don't know means to me that I didn't write this tenant really enough. So tenants are living, breathing things. I think these are probably medium quality tenants. Some of the best tenants at Amazon are super confidential, so I'm trying to share with you.